talk about this Johnny documentary.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
Have you watched it?
I didn't watch it yet.
I've watched
not
it
watched
twice.
it yet.
What do you guys do?
Are we waiting?
I've heard enough about it.
Let's do it.
No, let's talk.
dive in.
I didn't watch it, but I will. It's on
It's
my list.
fantastic.
So, chat, have you guys watched this Johnny documentary? So I watched this. So first of all, there wasn't a bigger Johnny football fan. Like, I freaking loved that guy when he was in college. I hated Alabama, and he went into Alabama and beat him.
Yep.
I freaking loved Johnny football. And when the Browns, he was the first jersey I ever bought. The only other jersey I ever bought was a throwback Jim Brown jersey. I still haven't bought another jersey. He's like one of my favorite college players ever. I loved everything about him.
Yeah.
But it almost made me feel bad for the guy.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Justin's not too sure.
You know what? So there's going to be people that haven't watched this yet. And I talked about it with a couple of people. There were like, the first couple moments of it, he's talking about all the things like mentally that he went through and like all of the, like, he's relying on drugs and stuff like that. And then they flash to the present and he's in his backyard just hanging out with his boys, still doing the same shit, it felt like. And I was like, oh, man. But it's a crazy, crazy doc. I know what you're saying because you can tell that mentally he was dealing with other things.
He said he's been diagnosed as bipolar now. Okay, so that definitely
doesn't help.
But here's the thing is, one, I to this day, obviously he has issues. I think he's 10 years too early. If he played in college today, he'd be millionaire in college.
Yep.
He was having to sell autographs for $30,000.
He was a millionaire in college anyway.
He was selling autographs for 30. No, I mean, think about it. He said he was selling his autographs for $30,000 a month, and he did it for a bunch of months in a row. So he'd have, I mean, even after 4 months, he's only made $120,000. If he played today, this dude would have had $1 million NIL deals.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
Easy.
it's true.
Okay. So the dude, and if you look at it, I thought Kliff Kingsbury came off super bad.
Yeah, he kind of just
Like,
let him. He knew that there was issues, and they just let him.
All these people knew he was having issues, and they were making money off of him and looking good off of him, and they just rode him, and it didn't. And they all went off to their promising careers and let him just crash and burn.
And they knew the direction it was going.
Yes,
because they all admitted they're like, we knew he was that kind of guy. We weren't about to. That was his thing. We knew what he was doing the night before, and it never affected him in the game, and we looked good coming out of it.
I thought Kliff Kingsbury seemed like very not like a good dude in that to me. That was the impression I got.
It's kind of the impression I've always gotten about him.
He clearly needed help, and there was no help to be given to him.
Yeah.
Okay. I also think obviously the drugs are an issue and the partying was an issue, but I also think that if he gets drafted in today's NFL, he would have been way more likely to be successful. The NFL game has changed so much compared to when he came in. It was still like a pro style offense under center. I mean, if Kyler Murray can play in the NFL today, Johnny football could have played in the NFL today. You know what I mean? So I just think he's 10 years too early. He's literally ahead of his time. Clearly, and then obviously you can only try to help the guy so much. At some point, he's got to try to help himself.
Yep.
But also at the same time, like you rode him into that position. Do what, get the guy some help.
Well, and
he's clear. We find out he's bipolar.
Yeah.
We find out. These people Texas A&M literally built a new stadium because of the guy.
Yeah.
They were making millions and millions and hundreds of millions of dollars. Adidas couldn't keep the number 2 Texas A&M jersey in stock.
Yep.
And he saw not a penny of it.
Yeah.
That is great. Yeah.
I think the NIL thing is awesome. I've been in support of that.
I think they need to regulate it somehow because it's getting away. People should be allowed to make money off their name, image, and likeness. It's not supposed to be used as a recruiting
right.
tool.
Yeah. Which
Ohio State can just get their donors to put in a huge NIL thing, and they're calling it NIL. No, you're just literally paying money for him to come here. That's not what it was designed for.
No, I agree, but there's a lot of people that made their schools a lot of money, and then they didn't get drafted or they got hurt their rookie year and didn't get any money.
That's fair.
But they made their school millions, and they never saw anything from it. So I think it's cool that you can make money in college now.
Yeah, but obviously he had some issues and he needed to take some responsibility. But at the same time, I feel like a lot of people failed that dude. Like a lot of people that were supposed to be trusted to make sure that he did okay. Mm-hmm. And they didn't care that he was spiraling because they were making money off of him.
I even think that they even almost overprotected him to the point where he was like comfortable in everything. He knew that every time he got past an obstacle that should have derailed his career, he was just like, I'm going a little bit further down this road. My favorite part of it is his agents talking about Cleveland's I can't remember if it was their GM or who it was, and they called and they're like, he's watched 0.00 hours of tape on his iPad. Like, what? And the agent's like, my God. He's like, he's got to at least have something. He's turned the thing on. And they flashed to Johnny, and he's just like, 0. I didn't. It's wild. It is absolutely wild. The whole thing's nuts.
By that point, he didn't even want to play football anymore. He was just,
you could tell.
He was essentially self-destructing on purpose to get out.
Yep.
So, and I don't think he's like, it's not a redemption story yet because I think he's still kind of effed up.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like I don't think he's back to where he needs to be yet.
Well, and the one thing that you guys, now, like I said, I haven't watched it yet and I really want to, I was planning on it.
Yeah, it's excellent.
But that you guys have talked about, like the coaches and the people in his life, those are like very crucial developmental years, especially for a guy who's like in that sort of spotlight on that level of athletics in college football, to enable him to be this way and not try to help him, correct him, make him the best version of himself that he can be. It's like they did fail. Well, based on what you guys are telling me here.
Well, and here's the deal too. Let's not forget he won the Heisman as a true freshman.
Yeah.
So this kid's like
18,
just
19?
barely 18.
Yeah.
And he can't go anywhere without being mobbed. Texas A&M should have had like a person for him to like. You know what I mean?
And he said it was his best friend who they were just living in the moment. When you guys watch this and they started explaining like just these two, how they like those 2 years in Texas A&M is wild. The whole story is crazy to me. And I mean, Texas A&M might end up, I feel like they put a little fire on him because they're like, yeah, he was absolutely just doing everything.
Well, the thing is, none of those people are there anymore.
That's fair, yeah.
True.
Kliff, I don't know any of them. They're all out.
Yeah. So, it says Kingsbury didn't care. He was hungover for the game because they was in the thick of the SEC race.
Yeah. He said it. He's like, he played better when he had no clue what was going on.
Exactly. Like it just, if maybe one time they would have punished him or like, you know what I mean? It could have been different. So I don't know. Again, I'm not absolving him from all responsibility in the situation, but he was a kid. There's a lot of adults around making money off of a kid that just didn't care what happened. They just tossed him to the side.
Yep.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Dawgs Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Twitter at the Dawgs Podcast. Get your thoughts on the show at thedawgspodcast.com.